name is Donnie and I am 11 years old, and I'll be playing Concerto in A minor, second movement, Opus 3, No.6.
Hello, today we're going to talk about Roman body armor and weapons. I'll just give you a quick backstory of the Roman Empire so you don't get confused. The Roman Empire is an empire that lasted at the start of the 1st century all the way to the end of the 17th century. The Roman Empire is the greatest nation of all, which conquered all of Europe and went as even far as China.
Let's start with the most basic form of clothing, the tunic. The one you see on the right is very common and very cheap to produce, as it only requires woolen fabric and no dye, which is a kind of like gold in the Roman Empire. The one you see on the middle is fairly common, but not as common as the one on the right. It is of moderate price because it uses red dye. The one you see on the left is something that is a sort of a treasure. It is very rare and very expensive to produce, as it uses the most expensive dye, the green dye. The Navy usually wore blue because they believe in the god Neptune, the god of the sea and horses. Its Greek form is Poseidon, as many of you know it. High-ranking officers and generals usually wear fluorescent colors such as pink and bright green. Now, the one you see here is the cuirass, also known as the lorica hamata. It's an early armor produced by the Roman. It is called chainmail, loosely translated from Roman or Italian. This is very heavy, weighing at 17 kilos. It is pretty effective against slashing, but not thrusting at enemy arrows. The one you see is a type of helmet used by mostly older soldiers in the Roman Empire. It is also used in gladiator fights, and it is made out of aluminum covered by steel. There are many variations of the helmet, but this is the most common one. This is a type of armor that the Roman built in response for the penetration of China. It is lighter, weighing at just over 8 kilograms. It is made by leather straps tying together and metal plates joining by a type of leather, which is mainly cow and donkey skin. It is very flexible as it provides spaces for the Roman to thrust, slash, or defend. This is called a gladius. This is the most common type of Roman sword. It is preferred rather thrusting rather than slashing. This is a type of Roman javelin called a pilum. The most fatal flaw about pilums is that it can be picked up and thrown back by an enemy. So the Romans overcome this in the 16th centuries by producing a type of thing that is melted and fused at the tip, but not at the bottom, so it will bend once it breaks. Thank you, and see you soon.
So my name is Lucy Fan, and I'll be playing on the violin, playing Elegant Dusk.
Y Decimus, Dec means 10, which means there's plus 2 slaves with the conversions. And then 10 conversions per century. Century with the 20 slaves is used by a century graph. 6 centuries make a cohort. A cohort is leaded by a primus purus. 9 or 10 cohorts make a legion. A legion can consist of 9 cohorts, with the first cohort double number centuries, which means it's twice the number. So it is not 10 legions, but 9 legions. There are 3 main people. Primus Purus of the first legion is first cohort, and legion would be the top of the legion that he is controlling. And there are 2 others with Camp Prefect, and then the top 2 have to be part of the Senate and have a political reputation. Furthermore, lots of armies have been won using legions with their centuries and cohorts. They usually arrive in cohorts consisting of about 600 men and a target. There are auxiliaries and citizens. Citizens are citizens of Rome, which they can join the legion, and there are auxiliaries, which is where they fought other people and captured their capitals. And those people have different legions and different formations. And some, if they earn the Roman citizenship, they will be able to join the normal legion. There are many variations of this legion, such as the Pompeian line / Pompeian army. They fight in sort of the same style, but instead they are more loose, which means the Romans would get a bit of confused because they have a really tight formation with lots of commands in Latin. It is easy for them to build forts. They can build a fort in one day, and they can dig trenches all around the fort to make it like a hill in just one day. This gives a huge advantage in campaigns that Julius Caesar and many others have brought to Rome.
I'm Mia, and I'll be playing Small Town Story.
20 and I'm 11 years old, and I'll be doing Roman projectiles. Romans have been using siege weapons for about 1,000 years. They use projectiles and missiles at the start of the siege to startle the enemy. They can sometimes use flaming arrows, but those will not use as well because they would burn awfully too quickly when they fire, or they will burn too slowly or would not ignite. Secondly, they had a pillar which they could throw for about 50 feet, which is about 20 meters. This makes it deadly as it has an iron tip that can pierce armor and shields. But it cannot be thrown back because the tip is really strong, but the rod is not, so it would bend on impact. So if they throw it, there will be nothing there that they can hit. Now there are even bigger ones like the scorpion. The scorpion is very durable and it can be fully maneuverable. It uses ropes made of sinew to store energy like springs. These energy would be let like a trigger, but a much simpler trigger, throwing a crossbow, and can damage or even pierce armor. Now there's a bigger version of this. The bigger version is called ballistae. It hurls projectiles, which can be stones or shafts. Those stones are painted black for feared factors, for the mental health of the opposing team. They cannot see it, and it is really devastating. That one uses a very, very big power source, and it is not renewable as a stone. But they figured out that this took lots of people to make and use, so they made up the Wahroonga, which is a very, very big catapult that hurls stones into the air that can break walls of enemy fortress and castles. This was really effective in many wars as it took less people to train and it was much easier to make. It was basically
Thank you.
This was a Greek-style phalanx, which the Roman adapted. Formations were made based on the military rank. The lines consisted of the least experienced men, the Hassadites, at the front, followed by the principals, the Notoriari, or the most experienced soldiers. In front of them were the Velites, the newest and poorest recruits, whose job it was to attack the approaching enemy with javelins. The three-line could often stretch for more than a mile. There were some gaps in the line, but mostly in presented one line, one long unbroken front. The gaps between the ranks allowed the rear line to step forward during battle if less necessary. The medical treatment on the battlefield is also very modern. The Romans were well known for their structured organization, which set them apart from their enemies. But they suffered casualties just like any other army. The Romans had highly trained experts at their disposal who were employed to take care of logistics and casualties. They were made up of engineers, doctors, or even architects who worked together to ensure the army was tactically and physically strong. This is called the onaga. The onaga was named after a wild ass because of its kick, and it was a type of catapult which made use of torsional force derived from twisted rope or springs to generate the potential energy needed for the shot. It was first mentioned by the historian Ammonus, who described a weapon as being like a scorpion. The onaga is a better improved version of the ballistae. The ballistae were another type of projectile, mostly used for attacking enemy troops with bolts, but the Romans also began to make use of other artillery systems, which could destroy walls and small fortifications, such as the onaga. The Romans cleverly used combustion material along with the rocks as projectiles and fired them at their opponents. This war tactic secured Roman victory in many battles. The First Punic War was fought between Rome and Carthage from 264 to 241 BC, when the Romans were considered newcomers in the Mediterranean. The Romans won the war with the help of the engineers who led the army to victory in what might have been the largest naval battle of its time. The Roman army came up with a new mechanism called the corvus, which basically means crow. In Latin, the corvus was a boarding device used to access enemy ships. They were heavily spiked on its tip so that it could be clinging onto the deck of the enemy ship. This tactic gave the Romans an advantage in the battle over the more experienced Carthaginians. This was one of the most interesting Roman weapons to be used tactically on a battlefield. It's the plumata. Plumbum means lead. It was designed as a throwing dart with lead weights attached to it. The head of the weapon was made of iron. Like several of the weapons mentioned above, it can also have a wooden shaft attached to it. It allowed the Roman soldier to throw darts in a streamlined manner, either overhand or underarm. Although there's no archaeological evidence of the plumata, it was mentioned in the 6th century by Emperor Maurus, mentioning the matubari, which is another word for plumbata. It was being part of our wrestle of the Eastern Roman Empire.